So today I'm going to be talking about how to beat, or explaining really how to beat the Islam is pro-free speech or compatible with free speech or can get along fine with the free speech cause. I maintain that this is not the case, and here is my rationale as to why. Really, to understand this argument, to defeat the other side, you only need to know about one person, and in fact you only need to know one thing about one person. Her name is Asama bint Marwan, and she was a poetess. She belonged to the Aus tribe in Mecca, and she wrote the following: fucked men of Malik and Nabit and of Aus, fucked men of Khazraj, you obey a stranger who does not belong among you, who is not of Murad, nor of Madhij. Do you, when your own chiefs have been murdered, put your hope in him, like men greedy for meal soup when it is cooking? Is there no man of honour who will take advantage of an unguarded moment and cut off the girl's hope? Now, the writing of this poem was the crime for which she was murdered by a fanatical Muslim named Umar ibn Adi, who crept into her room with a sword while she lay sleeping, and her children around her, one of whom, not that you need the gory details, was at her breast at the time. There he butchered her. I won't go in, perhaps I'll mention the fate of the children. He didn't kill them. They suffered something which, in my humble opinion, is far worse than what happened to her even. But as I say, if I get time, I'll come back to that and revisit it. Now, when you explain this to the opposition, the first reply you get is, well, that's a direct contradiction to the teachings of Islam. Islam is a religion of peace, and this Umar guy you're talking about, he is defaming the name of Islam and the spirit of the text. Now, you may have noticed that in the introduction I left out the historical period, the date at which this occurred, and that was because the historical period is itself the punchline. The order for the execution of this poetess was given by Muhammad himself. I do mean the Prophet Muhammad here. He said, and I quote you, on hearing of this poem, "Will no one rid me of this daughter of Marwan?" Now, the next reply you will get is that, well, okay, fine, Umar has he's misinterpreted what the Prophet Muhammad has intended by this statement. This is of course an obvious nonsense, and we need only consult the events of Mosque the next day when Umar returned following the execution the previous evening. Muhammad has held him up as an example of a good Muslim and praised him for his efforts in the cause of Islam. Now, here's where it really gets interesting. You really get one of two responses here. You get the, well, okay, you're judging Muhammad by the moral standards of today, or the slightly cheaper version that, well, this was just a bad day for Muhammad. Perhaps he got up on the wrong side, on the wrong side of the bed, or somebody did something that really cheesed him off, and he was just in a bad mood, and this happened to have occurred as a result of that. That's the first one, and the other one is that you get far less. Is yes, that's right. That is an order of Muhammad, and as a Muslim, I support that because Muhammad is perfect in all of his actions, and therefore Islam is anti-free speech. So if you get them on that one, the conversation is over. Now, as I say, the vast majority of people will go for the second. They will say, look, this was just a bad incident in the history of Islam. And what really must be drilled down upon here, or into here, is that the central teaching of Islam is that Muhammad was perfect in everything he did. So they are forced, the opposition I mean, to take one of two choices. They either condone, support, and give their vote towards the action of killing this poetess, and therefore admit that Islam is anti-free speech, or they say that Muhammad was not perfect in all of his actions, and if they're going to admit the second, I don't see in what sense they can call themselves a Muslim. Cheers.